What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another playoff series video. Today we got 2012 round 1. The Hawks losing 6 to the, at the time, Phoenix Coyotes. Got the Phoenix Coyotes Kachina on from the 90s. Phoenix Coyotes, you want proof there? It says right here, Phoenix Coyotes, so that's how you know. And love this jersey. One of my favorites, without question. And the Hawks were the 6th seed with 101 points, going up against the 3rd-seeded Phoenix Coyotes, who had a really good year with 97 points. So they won their division, clearly, because they were the 3rd seed and the Hawks had more points than them. So in reality, the Hawks were favored to win this on paper. And they didn't. The first 5 games of the series go to overtime, which is only the second time since, I believe, 1951. And second time in history, only 1951, that the first 5 games of a series went to overtime. And we'll start off with Game 1, where the Hawks lose 3-2 in overtime. It starts off with Jonathan Toews scoring his first of the playoffs in the first. Then in the second, Taylor Pyatt and Antoine Vermette, the future Hawk, would get on the board to make it, with their first of the playoffs, to make it 2-1 for Phoenix. And then Seabrook scores with 15 seconds left in the third to send the game to overtime, where Martin Hanzal would score 10 minutes in to make it 3-2 with his first of the playoffs. Game 2, the Hawks win 4-3 in overtime. Brian Bickle gets scores early on the power play with his first of the playoffs. Bickle had started coming into his own on the previous year in 2011 playoffs. 2012 showed he can still be a big-time playoff. In 2013, I'd argue he deserved the Conn Smythe more than Kane, because Bickle was absolutely phenomenal in these 3 playoff runs. And then, of course, MS happened, and he had to retire early, but he was really coming into his own when MS hit him. And then Rafi Torres scores. We'll come back to his name later. Makes it 1-1. And then Antoine Vermette gets his second of the playoffs on the power play, make it 2-1. Then Brandon Bollig makes it 2-2 with his first ever NHL goal. I'll be back in a second. This man, I have this giant hockey card of him, Brandon Bollig. I don't know why I have this, but I do. But I just found it funny that he was in and out of the lineup. He was one of those like healthy scratch or 4th line guys, and he was a young guy. He was a fighter, and he was just he didn't score a lot of goals, but he would fight and he would hit people. And so getting his first NHL goal against Phoenix when they're down 2-1, pretty big, especially in the game they would win. Then Antoine Vermette gets his third of the playoffs within his second of the game. On the power play again. And then Sharp scores with 6 seconds left in the third. For this one, 15 seconds. 6 seconds left in the third on this one. With his first of the playoffs, send it to overtime. And then Bickle gets his second of the game and second of the series in overtime. Hawks win 4-3. So, bit of a comeback there. And to be honest, the Hawks just looked, a lot of these games, they just looked like they were being dominated by Phoenix, remembering this series. Like, it would always take to the 3 out of the first 4 games, the Hawks had to score with less than a minute and a half left to tie the game with the goalie pulled. I mean, we're gonna get to Game 3 where a big event happens, but that's like against Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix on paper, when you look at their team, they got Vermette, they got young Ekman Larson, they have Shane Doan, they have Ray Whitney at the time, Mike Smith in net, who played phenomenally this series. They have Torres to hit people and kill people. Rostislav Kesla, I had no clue who this person was until I was doing this. I heard the name, but I had no clue who they were. Mikhail Bodker, great depth forward. Martin Hanzal, great center. And just players like that filled up their lineup. And then Keith Yandel on the back end as well. We go to Game 3. The Hawks lose 3-2 in overtime. They didn't win a game at home this series. Andrew Brunette gets them on the board on a deflection from Kane to make it 1-0. Andrew Brunette they had this year. Veteran guy, veteran presence. I will say the veteran guys in this playoff run, they made themselves known. Like, you don't see Kane anywhere on the board. He had 4 assists in the series. We'll get to that. But you see the people you see. You got Brendan Morrison up here, which we'll get to. Brunette down here. That kind of makes me look bad now. But, like those pieces especially. So, no goals in the second, no goals after that in the first, and then no goals in the second. Rostislav Klesla gets his first of the first of the playoffs, I should say. And then Michael Frolik responds 33 seconds later with his first of the playoffs to make it 2-1. Ray Whitney then scores to tie it up at 2-2 with his first. And Mikhail Bodker scores in overtime to make it 3-2. And Coyotes take a 2-1 series lead. And during this game, Rafi Torres hits Hossa so badly that he's carried off on a stretcher and doesn't return, even with there was a lockout season the next season. And Hossa didn't return then until later on, like much late. He wasn't even ready. There was no penalty on the play, even though he left his feet, smirked at the incident, did a lot of bad things. And no penalty would be called, and he... Sorry about that, I'm back. So yeah, Torres, no penalty on the play. Charge, it could have been a charge, it could have been a dangerous hit, it could have been literally anything except boarding, since it wasn't against the boards, it was an open ice hit. Hossa was down and out, and he would be suspended in preseason in 25 games the next season. So by then, Hossa was probably already fine, so it should have been in the playoffs, if you ask me, when it happens in the playoffs. Game 4, Hawks lose 3-2 in overtime on home ice again. No goals in the first. Shane Doan scores his first of the playoffs in the second period, followed by Taylor Pyatt gets his second of the playoffs, and then Brendan Morrison and Michael Frolik. Morrison gets his first of the series. Frolik gets his second with 1:26 in the third period left. And then Mikhail Bodker does it again as the Coyotes win 3-2 in overtime and take a 3-1 series lead home to Phoenix. Game 5, Hawks win 2-1 in overtime. This is going to be one of those what-if episodes. When I do the what-if series, this is going to be one of those what if the Hawks win in the series. Gilbert Brule, that's how I assume you pronounce his name, after no goals in the first, scores in the second to make it 1-0. Then Nick Leddy responds in the third to tie it up at 1-1 with his first. Jonathan Toews then scores in overtime with his second of the series to make it 2-1 for the Hawks and sends it back to Chicago, where in Game 6 the Hawks would lose 4-0 and get absolutely dominated on the score sheet in every way possible. No goals in the first. Oliver Ekman-Larsson scores on the power play in the second to make it 1-0. We go to the third. Gilbert Brule gets his second to make it 2-0. Antoine Vermette gets his fourth on the power play to make it 3-0. And then Kyle Chipchura, a tough guy, gets his first of the playoffs to make it 4-0. Hawks lose the series 4-2. And Shane Doan wins his first ever playoff series. So congrats to Shane Doan there. It'd also be the only playoff series he'd ever win. So, sorry. Yeah. Key takeaways from this: Nick Leddy established himself. We all thought he was going to be a future great Hawk defenseman. He wasn't. He was great in 2013. He was still at the developing stage. 2014, he was amazing. He had a great year that year, and then he went to the Islanders and was good there. And then now he's with Detroit, and Detroit's doing pretty well. So. Who knows if the Hawks could have kept him, but their salary cap was so close to the limit that it was... Yeah. Don't really know what else to say about this series. You see a lot of... not many familiar names if you didn't watch hockey back then. Bodker, I was one I remember. Whitney, big one. Klesla, no. Vermette, he was with the Hawks for the 2015 Cup run. Torres, everyone knows. Hansel, yep. Pyatt, nope. Doan, of course. Brule, absolutely not. Ekman-Larsson's still playing, now he's in Vancouver. That was the big thing last offseason. And Chipchura, I remember him as a tough guy. We go to the point totals. Toews and Kane lead the team. Toews has 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Kane has 0 goals, 4 assists for 4 points. There was a bunch of people with 3 points, and I wasn't going to write all those people down. Crawford goes 2-4 with an .893 save percentage. And then Vermette leads the team with 5 points, 4 goals, 1 assist for 5. Yandel has 0 goals, 5 assists for 5 points. Bodker has 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. And Klesla has 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Smith goes 4-2 with a .950 save percentage. Against Chicago, Smith was a hero at the time. Smith, one of my favorite goalies growing up. I loved that guy. And he was with the Lightning. He was with Dallas before that. He had rough goes with them. He was a backup with the Lightning, I remember, for when I was really young. Then he went to Phoenix, got the starting job. Then he went to Calgary for a couple years. He led them in that 2019 playoffs, and yeah, they got beaten in 5, but he was really good. Then he went to Edmonton and had a revival, and now he's 39 and just coming off injury and playing like a Vezina caliber goalie sometimes. So, yeah, I really liked him a lot. One of the only goalies I've ever saw in my lifetime score a goal as well. But yeah, that's all I have for 2012 and all I have for this playoff run. We go into a much larger playoff run next episode with 2013. We got 4 episodes for 2013, 3 for 2014, and 4 for 2015. And then we start slowing down a grade a lot. So in 11 days of the next 3 playoffs, then we have, I'd say, 1, 2, 3, 4 more playoff series after that. So about 15 more episodes of the playoff series since I've been alive. And yeah, we'll see. We'll dissect more of these playoff series, and then we'll probably go back to BFR since the hockey will be back. And yeah, that's what the schedule's looking like for the next few days, unless I come up with any other ideas that I think I want to do currently. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.